This is section 7.1, pairs of angles. Our objective today is to identify types of angles and find angle measures using the relationship between angles. So we're going to dive right into our vocabulary. Vertical angles are angles that are opposite each other when two lines intersect. So in this image, angle 1 and angle 3 are vertical angles because they are opposite each other when two lines intersected. Also, angle 2 and angle 4 are vertical angles. So the equation that we would really write is that angle 1 is congruent to angle 3. An equal sign with a squiggly above it means congruent. And angle 2 is congruent to angle 4. That means they're going to have the same measure. Vertical angles will always have the same measure. Congruent angles are angles with the same measure. So in this image, V and U are congruent angles. So we would write angle V is congruent, equal sign with a squiggly, to angle U. We could also say that the measure of angle V is equal to the measure of angle U. Angles can be congruent, measures can be equal. Very important distinction to make. Adjacent angles are angles with a common vertex and no common side. Sorry, a common vertex and a common side, but no common interior points. So basically, they're angles that are right up next to each other, but don't overlap. So in this, angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent angles. So the way I would write an equation for this, I would say that the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2, so if I add those two together, I'm going to get the measure of angle ABD. So if I add those two angles together, I get the big outer one. Supplementary angles are two angles whose measures add to 180 degrees. In this image, I have X and Y, and they clearly make 180 degrees, which is a straight line. So our equation would be the measure of angle X plus the measure of angle Y equals 180 degrees. Complementary angles are two angles whose measures add to 90 degrees. In this image, B and A add up to 90 degrees. So the measure of angle B plus the measure of angle A is going to equal 90 degrees. Perpendicular lines are two lines that intersect to form a right angle. The way we write this, you'll notice that our lines are labeled A and B. We say line A is perpendicular to B. It's kind of like an upside down T for the symbol. So now, let's look at these. Well, what kind of angles would these be? Two lines are intersecting, they're across from each other. These are vertical angles. Since they're vertical angles, we know that those two angles are equal to each other. So 11y minus 36 is equal to 63. Now I can solve for y. Add 36 to both sides. I get 11y equals 99. Divide by 11, and we get y equals 9. These two angles, the little curves in the corner, mean that they are congruent to each other. One arc is congruent to one arc. If we had two arcs, it would be congruent to two arcs. So these are congruent angles. That means their measures are equal. So I can say 5x plus 7 is equal to 3x plus 23. Now we're going to solve. We'll subtract 3x off of both sides to get 2x plus 7 equals 23. Then we'll subtract 7 off of both sides to get 2x equals 16. Divide both sides by 2, and we get x equals 8. These two angles are right next to each other. They do not overlap, but they share a side and the vertex. So they are adjacent angles. These two angles are right next to each other and they form a straight line. That means they must be supplementary. That means their measures add to 180. So we can take 5x minus 18 plus 4x plus 45. That needs to equal 180. So to solve this, combine our like terms on the same side of the equal sign. We get 9x plus 27 equals 180. Subtract 27 off of both sides. we get 9x equals 153. Divide both sides by 9, and x equals 17. These two angles, when you look at them, yes, they are adjacent, but the more specific word for them is going to be complementary, because they formed that 90-degree angle there. So we're going to take the two measures, and they must add up to 90 degrees. So x plus 3 plus 2x minus 3 has to equal 90. We'll combine our like terms on the same side of the equal sign to get 3x equals 90. Divide by 3, and we get x equals 30. These two lines intersect. They form a 90-degree angle. That means they are perpendicular lines. All right. Suppose the measure of angle BCD is 21 degrees. Find the measure of its supplement and its complement. So I'm going to label S for supplement, C for complement. Well, a supplement is any angle that adds with that one to give me 180. So if I subtract my 21 off both sides, I'll get x equals 159. So the supplement, the supplementary angle, is 159 degrees. For the complement, we'll call that one y. The complement and this angle add to give me 90. So I'll subtract 21 off both sides again, and y will equal 69. That means the measure of the complement, or the complementary angle, is 69 degrees. Try this one. An angle has a measure of 47 degrees. Find the measure of its supplement and its complement. All right, we'll start with an S and a C. For the supplement, we take x plus 47 equals 180. Subtract 47 off of both sides. X will equal 133. So the supplement is 133 degrees. For the complement, y plus 47 should equal 90. Subtract 47 off of both sides. And our complement is 43 degrees. Two angles are complementary. If the measure of one is 45 degrees and the measure of the other is 5x, what is the value of x? Well, if they are complementary, they add up to 90. So 45 plus 5x, or 5x plus 45, equals 90. Now we solve for x. Subtract 45 off of both sides. We get 5x equals 45. Divide by 5 on both sides, and x equals 9. Try this one. Two angles are supplementary. The measure of one is 4x plus 12, and the measure of the other is 18x plus 36. Find the value of x. All right, if these angles are supplementary, that means they add to 180. So 4x plus 12 plus 18x plus 36 equals 180. 4x plus 18x is 22x, plus 12 plus 36 is 48, equals 180. Subtract 48 off of both sides. We get 22x equals 132. Divide by 22, and x will equal 6. Your assignment is the angle pair relationships worksheet.